The sun sank low over the wild frontier, painting the sky in deep shades of gold and crimson. A warm wind carried the scent of dust, sage, and distant rain, whispering across the empty plains like a warning. Somewhere beyond the rolling hills and scattered rocks, a storm was coming, not of thunder or lightning, but of men, of blood, and of history that would never be forgotten. Cole Turner was the last cowboy left in the valley. Once, there had been dozens. Ranchers, riders, and settlers had built homes across the land, believing they could tame it. But the frontier had a way of reminding men who truly belonged to it. Drought came, outlaws came, and sometimes, warriors came. Cole had stayed when everyone else left. His ranch stood alone now, weathered and silent, with broken fences stretching across dry land. He rose before dawn every day, just like his father had taught him. He fed the horses, checked the water troughs, and watched the horizon. He always watched the horizon. Because out there, beyond the open land, the Apache still moved like shadows. Cole had heard the stories since he was a boy. His father used to say the Apache were not just warriors, they were part of the land itself. They could ride without sound, vanish into stone and dust, and strike faster than the wind. But Cole had never hated them. Not after what happened 10 years ago. He remembered that day clearly. He had been just a young man, riding home at sunset, when he saw smoke rising from the valley. He pushed his horse hard, heart pounding, fear growing with every step. By the time he reached the ranch, everything was gone. The barn burned, the house shattered, his father lay still in the dirt, and standing not far away was an Apache warrior. Tall, silent, watching. Cole had raised his rifle, hands shaking, eyes filled with rage. But the warrior did not attack. Instead, he slowly stepped back, then turned and disappeared into the hills. That moment stayed with Cole all his life. He didn't know why the man had spared him. He didn't know why he hadn't finished what had been started. But that single decision had left Cole alive. And now, 10 years later, the past was coming back. That morning, Cole saw something on the horizon. A single rider. He narrowed his eyes, stepping onto the porch, his hand resting near his revolver. The rider moved steadily across the land, not rushing, not hiding. As the figure grew closer, Cole felt his chest tighten. It was him, the same warrior, older now, his hair streaked with gray, his face marked by time and battle. But there was no mistaking him. Cole stepped down from the porch, boots crunching in the dirt. The warrior stopped about 20 feet away. He dismounted slowly, his movements calm and deliberate. For a long moment, neither man spoke. The wind blew between them, carrying the weight of years, of loss, and of unanswered questions. Finally, the warrior spoke in a low, steady voice. "They are coming." Cole frowned. "Who?" The warrior looked toward the distant hills. "Soldiers. Many. They believe this land is empty. They believe no one will fight." Cole felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "How long?" he asked. "By sunrise tomorrow." Cole glanced at the horizon. "That wasn't much time." "What does that have to do with me?" he said carefully. The warrior met his eyes. "They will burn everything. Your ranch, my people, all of it." Cole stayed silent. The warrior took a slow step forward. 10 years ago, I spared you. Not because I was weak. Because I saw you were not part of the fight. You were just a boy." Cole swallowed. "I remember," he said quietly. "Now," the warrior continued, "we face a greater enemy. If we stand alone, we lose. If we stand together, we may live." Cole looked at the man who had once stood among the ruins of his life. He should have hated him. He should have turned him away. But something deep inside him told him the warrior was speaking the truth. "Why come to me?" Cole asked. The warrior gestured to the land. "You know it, every hill, every stream, every path. You were the last cowboy. The last one who stayed." Cole looked out across the wide, open valley. The place where he was born. The place where his father died. The place he had refused to leave. He took a long breath. "What's your name?" Cole asked. The warrior paused, then answered, "Dakota." Cole nodded slowly. "All right, Dakota, if we're going to stop an army, we better get moving." They worked through the night. Dakota brought his warriors from the hills, silent riders who appeared like ghosts in the darkness. Cole showed them the narrow passes, the hidden ridges, the dry creek beds where they could move unseen. They set traps. They moved rocks. They prepared for a fight they might not survive. As the stars faded and the first light touched the horizon, the ground began to tremble. The soldiers were coming. Rows of them marched across the valley, rifles on their shoulders, horses pulling heavy wagons behind them. Their commander rode at the front, confident and unaware. Cole crouched beside Dakota behind a ridge. Once they reach the pass, Cole whispered, they'll be trapped between the rocks. Dakota nodded. Then we strike. The soldiers entered the narrow path. And then it began. Rocks crashed down from above, blocking the way. Horses panicked. Men shouted in confusion. From both sides, the Apache warriors attacked, swift and silent. Cole fired from above, his rifle steady, his aim true. The valley filled with noise, gunfire, dust, and echoes bouncing off the hills. But the soldiers were many. They pushed back hard, returning fire, climbing the slopes. One bullet struck the rock near Cole's head, sending fragments flying. Another tore through his sleeve. Dakota moved beside him, pulling him down. Stay low, he said. Cole reloaded, breathing hard. They're not stopping. Dakota looked at the path ahead. Then we pushed them back. They charged together, cowboy and warrior, side by side. Cole fired as he ran. Dakota moved with incredible speed, striking, dodging, guiding his people. For a moment, the two worlds fought as one. But then Cole saw the commander raising his rifle, aiming straight at Dakota. Dakota, Cole shouted. He fired first. The bullet struck the commander, knocking him from his horse. The soldiers hesitated, and that hesitation was enough. With a final push, the warriors forced them back through the pass. The remaining soldiers fled, retreating across the valley. Silence fell. Smoke drifted in the morning light. Cole stood there, breathing hard, his hands shaking. They had done it. Dakota walked toward him slowly. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Today, Dakota said, we fought as brothers. Cole nodded. Yeah. The warrior turned to leave, calling his people back toward the hills. Wait, Cole said. Dakota stopped. Cole stepped closer. 10 years ago, at the ranch, was it you? Dakota's face grew still. Yes. Cole felt the old pain rise again. Why did you spare me? He asked. Dakota looked out at the land. Because I had a son your age. And I knew the fight was not yours. Cole felt something in his chest shift. After all these years, the answer was simple. And somehow, it brought peace. Dakota gave a small nod, then turned and walked away, disappearing into the hills with his people. Cole stood alone once more. But this time, the valley felt different. The wind moved gently across the land. The sky was clear. The silence no longer felt empty. The frontier had changed, and so had he. From that day on, the story spread across the land. People spoke of the last cowboy and the Apache warrior who stood together against an army and saved the valley. Some said it was just a legend. But Cole knew the truth. He had seen it with his own eyes. And every morning, when he stepped onto his porch and looked at the horizon, he remembered that even in a land divided by history and pain, two men could stand side by side and change the future forever.